Good morning, Rabbi Yosef. Liluy Nishmas Avrohom Mordechai. Welcome. We have the Chassan with us, Yisrael Dessler. We spoke about you yesterday. Shalom Aleichem. Yankee Filer. He's not here. Anybody else from Chicago? Dr. Epstein, you know the Filers? Hey. No. Boker Tov. This is in Hebrew, but I'll just tell you the gist of it. He said that he was at the Shir in Yerushalayim. Tremendous Yeshayach. Since there are no weddings during the 3 weeks, we'd love to have you in our hall in Armonot Chen, the famous Armonot Chen in Bnei Brak. We'll provide the food and all the technical stuff. Moshe Cohen, Mankal Chazdei Nami, Armonot Chen. Huh? Yeah, it's very nice. But the question is when. My wife we have a bar mitzvah this week in Chicago, but because of the shir, I'm staying here. I don't want to go that much for Ben Azman, but I'm going the following week, like 9 days from now. Kids, so this guy, also in Hebrew, but he wanted to say that he works in America during the summer months. He does paving in Hasidic camps. And we were just talking, his name is Gedalia Itzkowitz from BHY, Baruch Hashem Y, paving. And we were just talking to Sugya about the Machtesh, oh, you can't see it. Oh, here we go. What is it called? The compactor, yeah. The boy said last night, Akiva Ziegler made a chasana, his son got married, and during the chasana, he's trying to convince this fellow to join the daf. Yeah, he brought his cards with him, everything. Ready to go. Okay, we'll jump right into it. So Rabbi Yosef, first of all, not to forget that tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we're starting Perek Cheskas HaBatim. If you haven't done so, or you've done so, but it's been a while, get your friends to join. Those who joined and fell off, remind them they could start. Had a very, very gishmak time so far. Almost 30 daf into Bava Basra. It's very gishmak. Everybody's loving it. It's a great time. It's going to be a continued gishmak throughout Cheskas. It's about a month, Cheskas. Right through Bein Azmanim. The Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Paras HaChodesh Moe Landy, Liluy Shmas Moshe ben Shmuel Yehuda, the Mashgiach of torah vodaas, by Paras HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman, L'schus to rebellion for continuing siyadta, dishmaya and teaching torah to klal Yisrael. Paras HaChodesh, shleima, neftali הערץ ben העניא, a hidden tzaddik in our generation. Paras HaChodesh, Liluy Nishmas Zechrיה ben Moshe, and Liluy Nishmas Chaya bas Yosef, the Shabbat Sharev and Aliyah. Paras HaShavua, Benchetrit, the commemoration of the הערץ of Rabbi Yosef Oziel of the Miami community, who passed away on the 13th of Tammuz at the young age of 42. Mordechai Sapoznick. Who else? Lzaicher Nishmas Avrohom Yeshayahu ben R Yisroel Aryeh made the neshama have an aliyah. Parnas hayoyim l'schus Esther Brocha bas Leah. And Parnas hayoyim Binyamin Blumberg Liluy Nishmas Miriam bas Nachum on her yahrzeit. Gevaldik. All the people on. How many people on Zoom?
44.
Wow, there were more Hebrew-speaking people on Zoom last night than that. There's like 70-something already. Baruch Hashem. Were you on Zoom yesterday?
Usually,
you heard what I said about you?
Usually there's 50.
There's usually 50. Okay. Well, that's usual in the last month. We had months we had in the hundreds. Depends on the month. Okay. Rabbi Yosef, we are holding on Daf Chavav Amud Beis. Omarula. Today, Be'ezer Hashem, we need to be Messiahim the Perek, so that tomorrow we get a nice fresh start on Cheskas. This question comes up. Let's say somebody plants an arava tree in his yard and it goes into the Rishus HaRabim. Okay, you're thinking of that? And also on this street right over here, what's the guy that gives the shir in the Bnei Yeshivas? He has a shtreimel. Lublin. He has like oranges, lemons growing into Nachal Noam. Are you allowed to take an orange that grows into the street, into a public street? You're allowed to take the aravas growing into the public street. So when it comes to aravas, I saw a fascinating halacha. Listen to this one. Whoever gets this gets 10,000 points. It's so fascinating. No? Can anybody guess what the halacha is? You can't say it's mutter because then you don't get 10,000 points. You can't say it's asur. Okay. It goes like this. The owner of the tree, he cannot use his own aravas that come off into the Rosh Hashanah because the mitzvah ba'avera. But you on the street, you could use them. Chiddush. Says the Gemara, we'll see it on Amud Beis. Omar Ula. I have another shaila for the Olam. This is a very good shaila. When we talk about a prusbul, on Shemitah, if you don't want Shemitah to come and wipe out all your loans, you have to write a prusbul. I see Mendy, he knows the answer. I could see in his eyes. You're not allowed to answer. You have to write a prusbul if you don't want your loans to be wiped out. As a takana sil, we're going to talk about it. The halacha is that you need karka. You have to have karka in order to write a prusbul. Who has to have karka? The lender or the borrower? The lender. Would I ask you the question if it was the lender? I wouldn't ask it. It's the borrower. Okay, so just for that it was worth it. Omar Ula. Ilon asamach lemetzar b'toich sheshes riyama. This is today's sugi Rabbi Yosef pretty much until Amud Beis, until the Mishnah. Almost the entire shir today is going to be discussing this Ula. Ula says that if you have a tree that's within 16 amma of your neighbor, you have a tree in your backyard, and your tree is 32 feet away from your neighbor, you are a ganav. Why? Because your tree is stealing nutrients. We looked up that word. I asked him to look up that word in Hebrew, and there is no word like that. Nutrients, I don't know, some word. We couldn't figure it out. Zuna, that's not geschmack. Zuna is not nutrients. One guy tried to say it's. No, they did Google. Zuna is not a good one, right? You're asking Zuna is not good. Nah, I know, that was the best we could come up with. But Dr. Epstein, all those hours on the treadmill are paying off. He studies Hebrew. He's trying to learn the language. Zuna. Okay, so it's stealing the nutrients from your neighbor and you're a ganav. So we have to remember, this is it. This is the line. 16 amma. You have to distance yourself 16 amma when it comes to the tree. Shkoyach, 14 words is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking at a one word thing. Yeah. We have the word. Huh? Hold on. There's one remark per share. You used it up already. Sorry. Since you're a gazlan, you cannot bring bikurim. Bikurim are the first fruit that you have, that the first fruit that grow. You have to bring it to Yerushalayim. It says in the pasuk, "Velokachto mereshes kol priyu ha'adam asher tovim me'artzecha." Has to be your land. So let's go back to. It's very, very easy stuff today, be'emes, on a low level math, okay? Especially with the charts. Says Ula, your tree has to be distanced from your neighbor 16 amma. Well, 16 amma in all directions. If you have a neighbor on the right, you have a neighbor on the left. If you own a tree, you own 1 inch of property, and you have a tree. You have to distance that tree 16 amma from all neighbors. So 16 plus 16 is how much? 32.
What about the place of the tree itself?
Good kasha. From the place of the tree and further. As he asking, it's a little bit more than 32. Okay. 32 amma. You have 32 amma by 32 amma. That's how much a tree nourishes. Because the roots go out in all directions. 16 amma on each side. So 16 on this side, 16 on that side is 32. 32 on the top, 16 on the top, 16 on the bottom, 16 on the right, 16 on the left. That's 32 by 32. How much is 32 by 32 with looking on the screen? 1024. That's how many amas a tree goes out there and grabs nutrients from neighbors or from yourself, from your own property. 1024, so that's the number we're looking for. Where did Ula get this number, 1024? Now that's what we're going to do. We're going to look for a number. The first number is going to be 250. 250 is not 1024. The next number is going to be 833, also not 1024. So where did he get this number? Says Gemara, should I tell you the end? The answer? Yeah. The answer is it's 1024, but 1024 is in a square. Roots don't go in a square. Roots don't go all the way to the corner. Roots grow in a circle out of the tree. They go 16 am in every direction. So it's a circle. So a mela, a circle is less than 1024. A circle is 25% less than 1024, which is very close to 833. Okay, that's the whole sugya, and that's the whole big math. Omarula. Ilon hasamach lemetzer b'toich sheshes riyama. Gazlanu ve'mevim menu bikurim. Since you're stealing, it's in your backyard, but it stole nutrients from the neighbor. You do not bring the first fruit to Yerushalayim. You are a ganav. Minolei lulaha. Where does he know this 1024? Where did he get 16 amma from? It goes like this. There is a halacha that by Shemitah, Rosh Hashanah, you're not allowed to plant, you're not allowed to do anything. But the halacha is that you're not allowed to even plow your field a half a year before Rosh Hashanah. All the way from Pesach, you're not allowed to plant. Provided, there's a little bit extra. You're not allowed to plow your field before Rosh Hashanah. However, if you have a field that has 10 saplings, then you could. Or, as you're going to see, 3 trees in a certain area, then you could plow all the way to Rosh Hashanah. So it says, Omar Ula, now a base saw is 50 amma by 50 amma. You hear? 50 by 50. How much is 50 times 50? 2,500 ammas. So a base saw is 2,500 ammas. If you have 10 trees in 2,500 ammas, then you could plow all the way to Rosh Hashanah. How much is it per tree? Oh, very good. This is mamish. Even in Panovich, we do this. 10 divided by 2,500 is 250 per tree. So memela, we still can't find a source for Ula. Ula says each tree actually nourishes 1024, 1,024, and over here we see that each tree nourishes 250. So this is not a good source for Ula. On a year of a Shemitah, you can plow all the way to Rosh Hashanah. And the Gemara does the math for us. Kama havalu. How much is a base saw? 50 times 50. Trei alfim v'chamesh meo garmidi. 2,500 amas. The kol chad v'chad kama motelei. And if you have 10 trees in 2,500 amas, each one is mosan v'chamshin 250. Holy havadu ula. That does not add up to 1024. Vela. Perhaps this is the source. Midisnan. Shleisha ilanois shel shleisha b'nei adam harei elu mitztarfin. If you have 3 trees, these are not saplings. These are serious trees. You have 3 serious trees. Even though they're owned by 3 separate people, they're considered one large field, and I could plow the entire field. Typically, if I have 1 tree, I would only be allowed to plow around that tree a little bit. Over here now, I could plow the entire field. The Charshim Kol Beisa B'Shvilon Daf Amud Aleph. Now, the Gemara does the math for us, but we can just see it over here. If you have a Beisa, you have 2,500 amos, and you have 3 trees. 2,500, 3 divided by 2,500 is 833 and a third. 833. So we're still searching for an Ula. Ula says 1024, and we have 833. Kama Havalu, Trey Alpha v'chomish meo garmidi, 2,500 amas. The kol chad kama motilei, so 2,500 divided by 3. Tamne meo. Shamshi, you got to tell him. Kama avo. Kol chad chad. Tamne meo v'los v'tilto. Each one is 833 and a third. Says the Gemara, Akat in officially the Ula. Ula is more than that. Ula is 1024, not 833. Says the Gemara, Loy duck here. So we have this. Ula is at 1024. This Mishnah that we have is at 833. Now, if what?
That's a pretty big low duck.
No. Okay.
One or two amma.
But the Gemara asks a much better question. Much better. The Gemara says, Yiloy duck should be in the opposite direction. Here, first, before we ask any questions, let's see what just happened there. 833, if you say there's 833 ammas, so we got to figure it out in measurement. How do you get to the measurement? 16 amma is 32 by 32. 16 plus 16 on each side, because 16 from the tree to this side, 16 to this, that's 16 amma. 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 times 32 equals 1024. How do you get to 833? So it's 14 and a half amma from the tree to the end, 14 and a half amma from the tree to the end. 14 and a half plus 14 and a half equals 29. So 29 times 29 equals 833. In other words, we're looking at a field that's 14 and a half, that's 29 by 29. Or 14 and a half amma from the tree to the end. So the problem is this file. What?
841.
Oh. No. No, do the light dog.
28.87.
Do the math. No, 29 times 29, quickly. 841. Okay, fine. 841. 841. That we don't care so much about. That number. No, Bemis, that's a smaller. What? That is mamish light dog. Okay. But there's a different problem, as the Gemara. The Gemara says, look what he's saying. Ula is saying that in fact you're chayiv to bring bikurim once you reach 833 or 841. If you have a field that's 29 by 29, you have to bring bikurim. Says Ula, no. You don't have to bring bikurim until you have a field that's 1,024 amma. Not 833, but 1,024. That means he's makel. He's saying don't bring bikurim until you have the larger field. So you can't say loy duck. If you want to say starting from 800 amma, then you have to bring bikurim. Oh, that makes sense. If your number is lower than the Mishnah, and you start bringing bikurim earlier, even if it's 14 amma, not 14 and a half, oh, that's loy duck. He's being machmer. Start bringing bikurim earlier. Make that trip to Yerushalayim. He's saying no. You don't have to bring bikurim, even if it's 833 amma. You don't have to bring bikurim until it's 1,000 amma. That's not loy duck. He's being makel. Oh, the R chumras, because you don't have to bring. That's Taisus' question. We're not going to get into it. Taisus says that, and it's really later, that you don't have to bring trumas hamaisers on the bikurim that you bring. Let's say you bring 100 pounds of bikurim to Beis Hamikdash, you pull it from trumas hamaisers. That's a cool on that way. Okay, fine. Says Gemara, says Gemara, and this is the answer. Ribua makes no sense, as Rashi explains it beautifully. Let's just go here. Here. So we're talking about 16 amma by 16 amma. Oh. Says the Gemara, we're not even talking about a square. We must be talking about a circle, because the roots of the tree cannot hit the corner. If roots extend 16 amma away from a tree, so it's going to follow that circle line. It's never going to be able to hit the corner. Let's say a root stops at 16. It doesn't, but let's say it stops at 16. In order to get to the corner, you need a longer root. Obviously, that adds square footage, square amos to it. We're talking about 16 amos in a circle. So now you just have to figure out how much a circle is less than a square. So if it's a square, we said it's 1,024 amos. Take off 25%. That equals 768. Okay, it's a round number again. It's Gemara math. A circle is less than a square. I'm sure it's not exactly. Anybody that went to high school knows it's not exactly that, but it's 25% less in real math. In real math, 803. But in Gemara math, simple math, like the Panovich style, 768. 768 is the number we're looking for. Still, we have a little bit of a problem. Because he said, Ula said how much? No, that's fine. What about the 833? 830, we said 830, the Mishnah says 833 really. Okay, so Misavers be Ribu Kamrina, be Gula Kamrina. Talking about a circle. You have to take off 256 amma from the 1024. You have to take off 25%. Pashlu, how much are you left over? Shvamio, Beshitin, Vitamio, 768. Says Gemara, Akati Pashli Palgadamsa. You're still missing a half amma. What in the world? Oh, for that you need this. Givaldik. In order to get closer to 833, you have to add a half a amma to each side. Instead of it being 16 amma from the tree to the border, it's 16 and a half amma from the tree to the border.
Not counting the tree itself.
Nah, that's your pshat. I know you.
No?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I'm not counting that. We do
16,
16.
I hear. Get shmak. So, that's Mendy's pshat. I didn't see it anywhere, but Mendy has, where's the tree itself? So if you add a half a amma to each direction, which is really an amma from top to bottom and from side to side, now instead of having 32 times 32, you have how much? 33 times 33. Again, you add a half a amma on the top, from the tree to the top, from the tree to the bottom, from the tree to the right, from the tree to the left. You're adding an amma, instead of 32, it's 33. 33 times 33 equals 1089. Take off 25%. It equals 816, which is 833 in Gemara language. And Memela, that's loidak. Now let's put them both side by side. Before we came up with 1024 minus 25% equals 768. That was a little bit far from 833. Now we're adding a half amma, so it's 1089 minus 25% equals 816. 816 from 768 to 816 is loidak. Why? Because now Ula 1 is machmir. Ula 1 is a lower number than Ula 2. Before, Ula was a higher number than the Mishnah. He was 1024 versus whatever, 833. Now we're saying Ula 1 is a lower number. In other words, you have to start bringing Bikurim once you hit 768. The lower number, you have to start bringing Bikurim. I'm machmir on you. You don't have to wait until 816 to bring Bikurim. You have to bring Bikurim when it's 768. Ula 1 versus Ula 2. Ula 1 is machmir.
Ula 2 versus the price of 833.
Right.
Ula 1 is out of the picture.
Right.
You're saying that 816 is the leidak? No, but I think the whole half amma is leidak. The Gemara says, look, the Gemara says, the half amma, what do we do with the half amma? How do leidak?
No, I know the double between 816 and 833. Right.
I don't know. Why do you say that?
Because it's smaller now. 816 is smaller than 833.
Exactly. 816, they're both small. You could say 816 is lower than this. But no, but the Gemara is asking, look at the lashon of the Gemara. The Gemara says, Akati pashli palgadam, so it's a question. Hainu, this half amma is leidak.
From the 833.
No, from what you started out at 768. Exactly. We just rejected this second that Akati pashli palgadam.
Rashi, the seventh largest line.
Yeah. Let's see. Then what's the name? Shitzri Upalga. 16 and a half. Exactly. Instead of saying 16 and a half, he said 16.
I think
you're
right. I think you're right.
Even if I'm not right, just tell me after Shir.
Otherwise, it's the same less than 833. 768, 816 are both less than 833. So what did the Gemara accomplish? It's focusing on the half hour.
Oh, you're saying both of them are in. Okay. Fine. Yeah. That's your pshat is a little better. I mean, it would make it sounds better because 816 is closer to 833. But I don't think that's what it means. On the half amma.
It's
You
on
take
that
the
half
radius
amma.
of 16 amma, and you find the area in between the circle.
Speak to somebody who went to high school, please. What does radius mean? You see the down here, I got it first like Balgo Yamsa. I know like dog. Great, we're done with the sugya. I think everybody understood it. Givaldik. Tashma. Now again, so loydog. Again, so Ula is of the opinion that if you have a tree that's within 16 amas of your neighbor, you are a ganav because it's stealing, it's robbing nutrients from your neighbor. Tashma. Hakoine ilan vikarkoi. If you purchase a tree with the land, mayvi v'koire, you bring bikurim and you read the psukim, the vidui. My love, kol shuhu. What's the question? Ula says, I have to chazer the sugi. My son just walked in. Oh, you missed the sugya, yo. You missed the sugya. My love, kol shuhu. Lzaicher Ula says you need 16 amas in order to that it should be considered your karka. You need 16 amas. Over here, it seems like even you get a needle's worth of karka. Let's see how much. Liluy. Sheshesri ama. However you read it. Yuvav ama. You need 16 ama. Okay, no raya. Tashma. You buy, your friend has a tremendous orchard. You buy 2 trees off him. You never specified in a contract. Does it come with the land or not? You just said, I want to buy 2 trees. Maybe ve'enoi kaira. You don't read. So over here, Rashi says, because of this, neftali, for it's ma'artzecha. Hashem. It's not li. It says there's 2 trees. You have to be medayik. 2, not 3, yes. Even though you never specified anything about the land. I bought 3 trees, I get the land, it's part of it. My lav kolshu, it doesn't say how much land is yours. It doesn't say anything about 16 amma like Ula. Lo yachanami, yudvavama. It's obviously referring to the fact that if you buy 3 trees, you're getting 16 amma of land. Toshma. Rabbi Akiva Omer, karka koshu. If you purchase a small piece of land, let's say 1 foot by 1 foot, chayav b'peya. Here's peya. So anytime you have a field, you must leave the corner for the poor. Ubibikurim. Boom. Here's the question. Rabbi Akiva says, if you purchase kolshu, a small piece of land, you chayav in bikurim. What does Ula say? Ula says, no, you need 16 amma. It's a kasha. Ubikurim kolshu. Now it says, v'koisim olav pruzbul. You could write a pruzbul, meaning if you lend somebody money, Shemitah comes, wipes out the loan, it's mishamet the loan, you don't have to pay it. So people stop giving loans before Shemitah. And that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Because the pasuk says mefurish, do not do that. You're going to say, Karva shnasa Shemitah, oi, Shemitah's coming up, I don't want to give a loan. So you're being over under the raisa. But people were over under the raisa. So Hillel was misakin something called a pruzbul. Pruzbul basically means that it's the bezdin that goes after you, not the person. Provided that there's karka. Who owns the karka, Rabbi Isai? Everybody say together. The loiv owns the karka. How do I know? Because Rashi says mefurish. Aval ein loy karka loiv. 2 lines down. 2 lines from the end. Like a svinalay. The loiv has to have a karka. Why does the loiv have to have a karka? Because in order to, it has to be a normal loan. What's a normal loan? A loan that has a achrayis, a regular loan. We even said achrayis tar soifer. If it doesn't mention the word guarantee in a shtar, it just means that the soifer forgot to write it in. Every loan has a guarantee. Now, what if the loiv doesn't have karka? He just doesn't own anything. Then you cannot write a pruzbul. So Maisa Shahaya, in one of the guys in the koil here was saying that in his yeshiva, not going to mention the yeshiva, in his yeshiva there's a boy, a bacher that took a lot of loans from people. So the guy said, okay, we're going to write a pruzbul, you're going to have to pay us back. So he said, no, you can't write a prusbul because I don't have karka. So they said, okay, so we're gonna be making you a piece of karka. Guy, take a needle's worth of karka, and I'm gonna force it on you. I'm gonna give you the karka as a gift. So he stood up in the Beis and he knocked and says, Hareini moiser moida. I'm making a moida that you cannot be mizak and me karka. I don't want karka. Karka is bad for me. And I'm not being makabel karka. And therefore all the laws are going to be batal mevutal. When Mendy Auerbach heard that, he said, that guy has a special place in Gehenna.
We don't pass him like that, right?
Why not?
When we write prusbals, we don't pass him that a person has to.
Why not?
Because I don't remember in my prusbal it said that.
No, it's automatic. The loiv has to have.
And no one asked us that. When you bring a prusbal, no one says, do you have karka?
That's not a raya. You bring a raya?
What if you don't have though? What if the lender doesn't have karka? No one even talks about this. It's not even a thing.
It's a basic thing.
It's a basic. So it's the business karka? Does he give
Hold on. You have a pen? I'm going to write here. Uposak Chaveri Reb Nachman Seltzer Kivin Shaloi Kosuv Ba Prusbul Din Karka Hari Muchach Mevur She'eino Yitzorach Karka Klal. Okay. Toshma.
What? What if you don't have though? Very nice to say it, but it's gotta be.
Don't lend money to people who don't have karka. And if you do, you give them, you mark them right away. Mashu, like one piece of sand on your porch. That's it. Yeah, what's yours? I don't know. You got me that. It's enough. Tashma, Rabbi Kiva Omer Karka Koshu Chai Beper Bekum Koizim Lo Prusbul Daf Chov Zayin Amud Beis V'Niknem Imo Nechosim Shein L'Machrayis. So we have the famous Kinyan Agav. If you're new to the shir, so maybe it's not so famous here. Kinyan Agav. Kina, we learned in Kiddush Daf Zayin. It means that, typically speaking, Karka, as we're going to see tomorrow, one of the Kinyanim is Chazaka, holding on to it for 3 years. The other one is Kesef Shtar. You cannot purchase movable items with money. How do you purchase movable items? With Mashiach, Hagbah. So if you purchase a piece of property, like I did here in Israel, I purchased my apartment, it came with furniture. So I was kind of the furniture that, at that moment, I didn't have to lift up the furniture. This guy bought the property, he gets all these, everything goes to him as well. One ha'ara per shir. Turning the daf, sponsored by Live Shir Community. Protecting families today before tomorrow's unexpected loss. So, what do you mean, what's the cash? I said the cash already. Ula says 16 amo. Over here we see karka kolshu. By the way, whoever wants to know, there's a guy that's making a killing out there. He owns a vineyard. So he sells off one vine, like a vine. You can buy a vine for 300 shekel. For 300 shekel, it becomes yours, and you're zeichen all the mitzvahs, peah, leket, all these things that you, if you own a piece of property, shmita, everything, you own it. Just the only thing is, since he works it, he gets to keep all the fruit. That's his payment. He works, he gets to keep it, and you get to keep all the mitzvahs. Yeah. Huh? You get matzahs from your field. You mean you get it's 2 fields? It's he gives you wine and matzah? You did it? You didn't know? You get wine and matzah, Rabbi Yisai, as a bonus. Well, Rabbi Dambi, I just want to know one thing. Does he sell the same vine more than once? To 3 different unsuspecting people? Rabbi Yisai, also, once I'm mentioning this, I'll tell you this. My father-in-law bought for my mother-in-law as a gift, he bought her the naming of a certain star. There's billions of stars. Some guy sold him the name of that star. Yeah. It comes with the book. It shows you where the star is, the whole thing. National Star Registry. And they own it. Russia also owns the same registry, and they sold the same star to somebody else in Russia. Okay. But it might be a good idea. Where do you get a hold of this guy, Taka? It's not bad.
Does the name our Star Wars?
All right, Zok the Gemara. So the kasha is Nachamal. Rabbi Kiva says, in order to be chayiv and bikurim, kolshu. According to Ula, you would need a lot more than a kolshu. You need 16 by 16. In other words, 32 amas by 32 amas. Where do you get a kolshu? By one single piece of wheat. That's a chita, and that's a kolshu that lives on one piece of land. As Taisus a kasha. I really want the teretz more than anything. As Taisus, we know that chita nourishes 3 tfachim, not a mashu. Says Taisus, it's like 7-8 lines down. Shleima, you're right. It does nourish 3. But the main point of its nourishing, it's exactly opposite the stem of the chita. And then Mela, Rabbi Yosef, there are people that work all day, but they learn torah an hour a day, let's say. 1 hour a day. If that's your ikir yanika, that's where your day is based on that 1 hour, then you're a torah yid. And if not, then you're to the side. You're taking from the 3 tfachim around. The ikir, where's the ikir yanika? That's what you have to look at. What do you view somebody? You view this piece of chita as something that nourishes from below. Why? Because that's the ikir. Goes by where the ikir is. Daikanami, diktoni kolshu, huh? Where are you rooted? But it's not rooted over here. Over here we're talking about Yanika. Where do you get? Are you a guy that gets it from the daf, or a guy that gets it from the work, from where are you nourished from? All the nayis. Diktoni kolshu, daikanami, diktoni kolshu, shmamino. It says kolshu. It's a very minute amount. Toshma. Ilo miktasi ba'aretz and miktasi b'chutz la'aretz. Givaldik, a story here. If I had to do this over, I'll tell Yoshi to put the roots on the other side of this wall. But the bottom line is you have a tree growing half in Eretz Yisrael, half in Chutz La'aretz. Now, which one?
Half.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Rabbi Yirmiyah. It was Rabbi Yirmiyah. Yeah. Right. 1 foot here, 1 foot there. Yeah. This is a Metzias. Over there it couldn't happen. Over here it happened. Rabbi say, if you eat fruit that you didn't take trumas and maises from, what's the halacha? What happens to you? Huh? Misa b'dei shomayim. What's the other shita? Rav Malkus. Rabbi says each fruit is half and half. Each fruit is a little bit of a tevel, a little bit of chulin. This here, we'll go to this one. He says that which is in chutz la'aretz really should be green. The fruit that grows in chutz la'aretz is potter from trumas and meiser. You're allowed to eat it. Hagadol b'ftur potter. Hagadol b'chiyuv chayav, Hagadol b'ftur potter, whatever grew in Eretz Yisrael, maybe it did green because it's like dusha of Eretz Yisrael, but it's chayav in trumas and meisers. Okay, so half the tree is you're allowed to eat without truma, and half the tree not. So what's the source of the machlokes? El demar savar yesh breira, or mar savar ein breira. The whole machlokes is, can I differentiate and say, okay, this fruit is from here, this fruit is from there? Ava gadol b'ftur. What if the entire tree, Rabbi said, the entire tree grew in Chutz La'aretz? You wouldn't have to bring any trumas and maisros. Divrei Hakol Potter. Oh, it's a kasha. Why is the kasha? Because according to Ula, that says that the tree nourishes 16 amma. So who cares if it's completely in Chutz La'aretz? It's 100% in Syria. But the root system is nourishing from Eretz Yisrael. So the whole tree should be chayiv in trumas and maisros. Just like the whole tree is chayiv in bikurim, potter in bikurim. Sorry, if it's next to your neighbor, you're gazlan. So if it's in Chutz La'aretz, it goes and it nourishes from Eretz Yisrael. You should be chayiv. There's a stone. It doesn't nourish. It doesn't nourish from the other side. There's a stone. My time of the Rebbe. How come Rebbe says that they're both mixed together? This tevel and chulin mixed in. because one grew in Chutz La'aretz, one grew in Eretz Yisrael, half grew in Eretz Yisrael and half grew in Chutz La'aretz. They mixed. How do they mix? There's a stone. Says Gemara, the Hadran Arvi. They go up the trunk of the tree and they mix together. So then what's the source of the machlokes? The ear, in other words, whatever's in the ear space, the trunk, whatever's in the trunk of the tree, it goes through the roots. You're right, the roots are 100% the Chutz La'aretz, and the roots over here are 100% in the Eretz Yisrael. They go up the tree, and in the tree they mix in. At the end of the day, they mix into the trunk. Meaning, the other man doesn't. It's not a machlokes in Metzias. Take some food coloring, put it in the ground, and see if the red food dye goes to the other side of the tree. It will. It'll go to the other side of the tree. So then, what's machlokes? Machlokes is, but at the end of the day, these roots are in Chutz La'aretz and these roots over here. It goes by where the roots are. I don't care that later on it mixes in. That's not my problem. At the end of the day, these roots came from Chutz La'aretz, these roots came from Eretz Yisrael, and therefore I could split the tree in half. Ula says that a tree nourishes 16 amma. Wait a minute. It should be even more than 16 amma. It should be 25. You have to distance the tree from a pit, 25 amma, meaning that the root system extends even to 25 amma, not 16. Huh?
Destroy the wall. It's not that it's yoneh.
What purpose are there roots? Aren't roots to be a root just goes out? But why is there a root? Why does a tree have a root that goes 25 amma? To search for water, nutrients, no? That's what I would think. But the Gemara doesn't think like that. The Gemara thinks like you and it could extend more than 16 amma. Much more than that. Sometimes roots go, 100 feet. Maybe more. They say sometimes that the roots are the size of the tree. It could go. But it doesn't nourish. That's exactly what you're saying. I just wanted to see if you stole it from the Gemara or not. So it says the root system, they could go further out, maybe for strengthening the tree. I don't know. But to nourish, it's only the first 16 amma, 32 feet. Or maybe they'll take water, but they won't deplete. Oh, that's a great word. They won't deplete the nourishment, the nutrients of the soil when they go more than 16 amma. This is the same question we started off the whole share with. What's the halacha if you have a tree within 16 amma of your neighbor? Omar le gazlanu. Rabbi, I have to remind Oilam, now that you're here, now, I know you didn't listen, some of you didn't listen to the emails. We are starting Cheskas Habatim tomorrow. Start Cheskas Habatim, that means, what does that mean? Pick up the phone and call your friend. Be Zoichen Oilam Haba. I know I said it 1,000 times, and you don't want to hear it again, but trust me, it's going to save your life. The other thing I want to tell you is, since you didn't hear the emails, is that we have Yankee Filer. Who would believe Yankee Filer did one of the best shidduchim in the world? He has Yisrael Dessler. This is the guy, Yishkoich again, for getting me a giant board of meat, making it yourself, and buy me a Castel bottle of wine. Yeshiva guy. Huh? How do you know that's how you got the shidduch? No, the shidduch was from Kirstir and the Shtar and the whole Zab. I have no idea what you're saying.
Because he was learning
They
were the roots. He was nourishing from your roots.
Even though he was more than 16 amma away.
Right. He was nourishing from your roots.
Wow, unbelievable. So was that guy that yelled at you that you shouldn't be learning from a cell phone, was he Eretz Yisrael Chasidish or an American? L'chayr is Eretz Yisrael. 100%. Yeah. Goyim anyway shouldn't be learning Torah.
That guy was Goyim.
Why? No, the other chassid saw that you got yelled at?
I'm not sure. It happened right after.
Right after. You may feel bad.
Okay.
But you have to be chazik. Oh, that's mamish the story I said about you weren't here. Givaldik story. Guy that comes to Bismerish every day told me, Mordechai so the Olam didn't happen over. I loved it. A guy comes over to him, a guy that he knows for a long time, starts yelling at him, berating him, and it says in halacha this, it says in halacha that. So he looks at him and says, what got into you? He says, I'll tell you, I just learned to Rabbi Victor Miller, and Rabbi Victor Miller says that at least once a day you should walk over to someone and give them chizuk. She says, no. There's a difference between chizuk and musar. You're confusing the two. Oh, chizuk means to uplift somebody. So, chassid number one gave him musar. Chassid number 2 gave him chizuk. He got confused in the Rav Avigdor Miller. They're all trying to become Rav Avigdor Miller. All right, Zok the Gemara. You can't even bring bikurim because you're a ganav. Another thing, I'll tell you this. Talking about ganav, yeah? The Rabbi Yisroel Salanter says, there was a maisa with him, crazy maisa. In those days, there's no air conditioning. So it's Yom Naraim, boiling hot in the Beis Medrash. So they open the windows. A guy goes and put himself in the window to chop the air. So Rabbi Yisroel Salanter, the head of all Musar and how to treat another Yid, scream at him, "You're a ganav." Screamed at him, "You're a ganav." So, no, it just reminds you of different things. Like sometimes I saw it just 2 days ago. A guy came late to shul, Sidam Shemon Esrei in the doorway. In the doorway. Not Stam Shemon Esrei, the longest Shemon Esrei you've ever seen. Everybody's doing this and around. You're a ganav. What are you standing in a public? You got to think. You're bringing bikurim. You're stealing from your neighbor. Don't steal. Don't be a big tzaddik bringing bikurim when you're stealing nutrients from the neighbor. Not true. Even if you're next to the neighbor, and even if the branches are over, maybe you could bring. Yeshua, and he gave you R Yisroel, he said, you could plant trees in your backyard, you don't have to worry about the nutrients of your neighbor. Says the Eli Mishnah, you have a tree that's overhanging your friend's field. In America, we had these issues. I don't know about you guys. You live close to the neighbor, and the neighbor has this giant 200-year-old tree. It goes right into your backyard. You can't build a sukkah there. There's all sorts of things. One of the trees literally fell down on my uncle's house, knocked down his chimney. It was a whole, trees are an issue. What could you tell your friend to do or not? Here it is. Mardeya is the stick, the stick that goads the animal. Because the animal is going to walk. It is going to move, but you want to make sure that he stays straight. He goes right, he goes left. So it's taller than you. So let me just zoom in here. So let's say the stick is that high, it reaches that height. So you cut down all the branches up to that height that are from your neighbor. And when it comes to a carob tree and a sycamore, they have larger this, so you could go. What's a mishkoilos? It's a plumb line. So let me show you real quickly. This is a gewaldige picture right here. I showed it once before. This is a real picture. A guy has a tree. The guy on the left has a tree. The guy on the right said, I don't want your tree over my driveway, over my car. Because, birds come, do different things on the car. So the guy cut down his tree. Look how beautiful. It's mamish. So here's Keneged HaMishkolos right over here. Let me just show you. Look, that's Keneged HaMishkolos. There's a plumb line. A plumb line is that metal piece on the bottom. They used to use it. Today they have something called a laser. In those days, even just, recently, 10 years ago, they still use it today. They sell in the store. They take a weight and they put a string, and the weight makes the string very straight, and that's how they build buildings in Eretz Yisrael. That's why everything is very, very straight. All your walls are straight here.
Why is your car with this really?
There's a guy, I'm not joking, the guy that was doing my drywall, I'm like, everything's crooked here. Have you ever heard of a laser? He goes, no. So I went and I bought a laser for him to show. And it was so, once you put that laser, it's so cool, but he's like he's busy with the strings. He's going like 50 feet, and you just touch it a little bit with one beam, so the whole string goes crooked. It's gewaldig. We had to redo the whole thing. Emes. No, this is not in Eretz Yisrael. This is not in Cedarhurst. Come on. This is like in England. The only place in the world you do something like that is in England. I think this is an English thing. Okay, because no American. In America, they'll just chop down the whole tree or chop down the guy's head. They're not cutting it like that. This is a very English thing. Oh, you want me to cut? Okay, no problem. Okay, this is normal. But Beis HaShlachin, if it's an irrigated field, now, time out. Let's stop over here for a second. When it comes to the Charev, it's the Mishkoilos. Let's go to the end of the Mishnah. We can fit this in over here. You just said only in a sycamore. You use a plumb line. He adds. He's adding. It's not only two trees, a charev and a shikma. It's every single tree that doesn't bear fruit. Okay, now let's go back to where we're holding. That's one way of learning the Mishnah. Beis HaShlachin, if it's an irrigated field, Kol Elon, every single tree in the world, keneged hamishkolos. Why? Because all trees in the world damage a field. Field needs the sun, too much shade, cut it down. All trees. Now Abba Shaul comes and says, Abba Shaul Omer, I'm not adding, I'm taking off. Kol Elon Sirak keneged hamishkolos. Not all the trees in the world, only some, only those that don't bear fruit. You see what we did over here? If Abba Shaul goes on the Reisha, he's adding. The Reisha says only 2 trees. I'm saying all trees. Here, I did it over here. The Tanakhama says Charv and Shikma Keneged Mishkoilo. He says Abba Shaul no. Kol Elon Srak. The Sefer is no. In Beis HaShlachin, all trees. Says Abba Shaul, not all trees. Only, not. It's only Srak. So in the Sefer he's taking off, and the Reisha he's adding. Iboilu Abba Shaul Reisha Koya Sefer Koya. Is he adding or is he taking off? Tashma desanya Beis HaShlachin. Abba Shaul Omer Kol Elon Keneged Mishkolos. Over here, Abba Shaul doesn't argue on Beis HaShlachin. He says word for word like our Mishnah. In other words, since Abba Shaul is not disagreeing with the second part of the Mishnah, must be that Abba Shaul is actually talking about the first part of the Mishnah. Right. Okay, that's the Gemara is going to say. Kol Elon Keneged Mishkolos Mipnei Shatzel Ra LeBeis HaShlachin. Yeah, that's what it says in the Mishnah. Beis HaShlachin Kol Elon. Kol Elon. He doesn't say Srak. Right? Yeah, but that's exactly the lashon of the Sefer. That's exactly what it says in the Sefer. Kol Elon Keneged Mishkolos. Beis HaShlachin Kol Elon Keneged Mishkolos. So Mela, since he doesn't argue with the Sefer, when he argues, he's arguing on the Reisha. Shmamino Reisha Koi. In other words, he's adding Shmamino Shma. Omar Avashi Masisanami can be proved from the Mishnah itself. The Tony Kol Elon Srak. Kol Elon, Kol, the word Kol means every, in other words, he's adding. That he's adding. But if you're saying that he's taking away from what the Tan in the Mishnah is saying, it should have just said Elon Srak. Not all trees, but only Elon Srak. Not Kol Elon Srak. Kol means even. He's taking away. He should take off the word Kol. Elon Srak, he was adding on the Reisha Shmamina. Says the Mishnah. Elon Shunoita L'Rishus Harabim. So that's the case that we start off the shir with. You have an Arava tree, you have an Essek tree over the Rishus Harabim. So, are you allowed to take from Rabbi Lubling's tree? Are you allowed to take what's the name of that giant Pamela? Are you allowed to take a Pamela off his tree? So Zechirya, as we see over here, Ilan Shunot Rishus Harabim. Over there, it's higher up. It's not a great thing. You need the height of a camel and a rider. Here, if you don't know what a camel and a rider looks like, camel and a rider even has a stick. The other shita is this. So first of all, some want to say, yeah, if it's over the Rishus Harabim, it's mazik the Rishus Harabim, you can take it. Says Rabbi Yashiv, so why are you only taking the fruit? If you're so careful about the Rishus Harabim and Hezek, so you have to chop off the branch. But you're not chopping off the branch. Okay, so therefore he says you shouldn't take the Pamela, but when it comes to Haravis, if it's mazik, the Rishus Harabim, then the owner should not take the Haravis. Why? Because it's mitzvah baba avera. That's what I saw. And a guy in the street could take the Haravis. He could be yaitza. Today we don't have camels. Does the shear change? Today we have, let's say, a bike. What's the highest thing in the street? A bike. A guy on a bike. You're not supposed to ride a camel on the sidewalk. So what's the shear? Do shiurim change? And they say yes. It goes by the generation. It goes by the minhag hamaka. So Elon should have the Rishus Harabim today. Shia gomel over the v'roichler. Yudoimer gomel tom pishton. Oh, here we go. Something like this. Now, which one has more height? This one or the first one? So Rabbi Yehuda Omer gomel tom pishton nechavilas mayers. Rabbi Shimon Omer kol Elon keneged hamishkolos. You take off everything. In our day, today you have something like this. Rabbi saying we have trucks. I don't want to see. Okay. You kids, you get the idea. We have to be concerned with the trucks. What else do we have here? Oh, that's for the next sugya. So Reb Shimon says, let's just see this for a second. Here's Reb Shimon. If I have a piece of a human being, the tumah goes up and it spreads to the entire tree because of oil tumah. So you got to chop down the branches on the sidewalk. Kohanim won't be able to walk on the sidewalk. What if there's tumah somewhere under the tree? Do we have that problem today? We have those overhangs, and Kohanim can't walk in certain places with these trees over a basic forest on one side to the other side. So you cut the branches down. What about tomorrow? The branch is going to grow back. So we have, it's actually machlokes. So this is a Mordechai that happened in Beitar just recently, 2 years ago. A guy dug, he saw a halal underneath his house, his building, so he started digging, kept on digging, until he meets his neighbor. His neighbor started digging, and they were under the street in Beitar. They both came from two sides, and they started fighting. He says, get out of here, I'm digging, you get out of here. So the city found out about it, and they realized that the street is going to collapse. They took out everything around the street. So they filled it up with cement. They say dozens and dozens of trucks, they just filled it up with cement. They both lost. And that's basically this one right over here, I think. So you have under the street something. This is a Givaldic video. I like the bus. Mamish goes airborne. Boom. Okay. So you're not supposed to be digging under Rishus Harabim, Barishichem Arois. This is pretty gishmak. This car stops. I'll continue saying, and you'll just not pay attention. And I'll skip a few lines here. Look what happens to this guy. He says, "Why did you stop?" Oh, that's why. Okay. Oh, so nachamol. If a dump truck could go by with full of dirt and stones, then you could dig under in Beitar. You could dig all the way to Bnei Brak. It's not a problem. But the problem is, what about in 3 years from now? The street will be weakened and fall in. So Mela, that's like our Tana over here. I cut down the branches. What happens later on, I don't care about. By street, it might fall in. Every time it grows a branch, unfortunately, Rabbi, I know it's very late, but we have to finish this parak. What's more? The guy standing on the camel, or Rabbi Yehuda says the pishtan on top, the guy on the camel. Shita the shur the rabban nafish. It has to be the guy standing on the camel. The yisog adaytach shur the Rabbi Yehuda nafish. If it's the packages on the camel, rabban shur the Rabbi Yehuda. How are they going to get by with if you have a camel with packages? Velamai shur the rabban nafish. So the guy sitting on the camel is taller. Rabbi Yehuda shur the rabban nafish. So how's Rabbi Yehuda going to deal with it? Says Gemara, the gachim v'chalav tu say a person could bend down. And that's not a problem. Even if he's taller, he'll bend down. That's what we said before. We're talking about this one over here, tumas oil. Pshita, of course. What else is it? Says Gemara, no. Maybe a raven will bring a piece of a human being, put it on top of the tree. So now the tumah is going downwards. We're not talking about oil. We're talking about literally being under tumah. You just have to cut some branches, and then that tumah won't be able to stay on the branch. You won't have tumah. And even one branch will be mazik. You have to take off all the branches. Rabbi say, Hadran aloch lo yachbar, Hadran aloch lo yachbar, Hadran aloch lo yachbar. Have a wonderful day.